We all know Christians, those people who hold doors open for you, or give up their place in line at the supermarket when you only have 2 items. Or maybe those are Canadians. I don't know, but Christians tend to be kind people as well. However, in today's society, Christians often get a bad rap. To many people, they seem to be filled with hate, practicing the exact opposite of the love they claim their God professes. This hate shows its face in many forms. Blatant hatred towards other groups, discrimination, racism, sexism, you name it. There are groups of people calling themselves Christians, propagating hatred in every form. Even worse are those who accept acts like sodomy because the world is changing. Churches like this are only trying to capitalize on new trends, treating people like a commodity. And if they really believed these things were okay, they would have sooner and more universally adopted that stance. Before we go any further, I want to define what I mean when I say Christian. Now, Webster's defines Christian as a person who believes in the teachings of Jesus Christ. But that's not the definition I'm going to use. When I say Christian, I mean someone who accepts the Nicene Creed. I think it covers the basics, and I need a foundation, so it's as good as any. Now, you might already be asking why I'm using a different definition of Christian. It's really quite simple. Ask yourself, what are the teachings of Jesus Christ? Now, before your fingers begin to flutter across your preferred input device, I'm going to ask you a question. Are those teachings accepted by all Christians? And that, my friend, is where our problems begin. Now, if you or the Christians you know are Catholic, you don't really have a problem. Catholic teachings come from the magisterium of the Catholic Church. You can think of it as a religious think tank. And Catholic priests are to follow these teachings. So if you want to know something, you just have to ask them or look it up yourself. And then, like the magic of an easy bake oven, your answer pops out. What's so great about this is everything is out in the open. Catholics can't hide behind ambiguity. You can find out what they believe, and then debate or just ask more questions. Then we have the Protestants, a section of Christianity derived from the greatest Christian value, pride. I'm going to spend more time on Protestant Christians because their beliefs are all over the place. Now don't get me wrong, Protestant Christians believe many of the same things that Catholic Christians believe. The major difference is they don't have a governing body, so they have to make most magical theological decisions by themselves. Yes, let them do that. I don't see how letting every individual decide how to interpret and teach the same material to their congregations is a bad idea. Teachers in other disciplines do that all the time, right? Math is interpreted in different ways in each country, last time I checked. The well of Protestant Christianity has been poisoned. It has become corrupted at the source, much like other modern movements and groups like feminism, worker unions, and even the Occupy movement. Since there is no true manifesto, people on the inside struggle for power, and in doing so, pervert the original meaning. To begin to understand what forms this perversion takes, we'll take a look at some more extreme examples, beginning with an individual named Greta Vosper. Greta Vosper is a minister at West Hill United Church in Canada. What makes her so interesting is that she's an atheist. Now think about that for a while. And she's not a new atheist either. Stating on her website, quote, "I came out as an atheist in 2001." End quote. 14 years later, she's still working at the same church. But how can they get rid of her? When they let their ministers choose what they're going to teach, they open up the floodgates to allow pretty much anything. I challenge you to find one thing that all Protestants agree on. You'd think you could just choose something that we tend to believe Christians are against, like sodomy, but a few quick searches and we find churches that are pro-sodomy. Another example would be the Westboro Baptist Church. Many Protestant Christians would quickly dismiss them on the grounds that their actions don't affirm their beliefs, but I don't think we can write them off that quickly. If Protestants allow atheistic ministers, why can't they allow hate-filled congregations? Protestants also tend to write off examples like these as heresy. Heresy, defined by Webster's, is a belief or opinion that does not agree with the official belief or opinion of a particular religion. But what are the official beliefs of Protestant Christianity? If all Protestants can choose where they stand on important theological issues, we can't confidently say that anything is the official belief, therefore invalidating these cries of heresy. Now, these are some extreme examples, but we can see issues like this pop up all the time. Many mainline Protestant churches have conflicting beliefs on important theological issues. It begs the question, is everyone a heretic? And then, can heretics accuse other heretics of committing heresy? Christianity is supposed to be about finding truth. When someone can't have simple questions answered, or they have them answered incorrectly, it perverts their perspective on the religion. This not only harms the person in question, but anyone they might interact with in the future. It's a vicious cycle. It doesn't make any sense. When you claim there is one truth, yet everyone believes something different, you have a serious problem. Many people considering Christianity today are turned off by the obvious contradictions made by Protestant Christianity, and how can you blame them? When we sit down and examine what they say, and then what they proceed to do, the logic doesn't follow. They talk about unity, but have thousands of different denominations. They claim one truth, but allow freedom when it comes to crucial theological decisions. Protestant Christianity perverts the religion. Christianity should show us what Christians believe is the truth. But asking one man to find and interpret this truth, something hundreds of people over hundreds of years are still working on, is not only foolish, but damaging to all parties involved. Although I just took a lot of time to tear into Protestant Christianity, there's one thing that needs to be mentioned. As much as I stand by what I've just said, it isn't all bad. Take a look in your community and see what your local churches are doing. These are usually organizations filled with good people, just doing what they can to help others. Many of the people in these organizations don't even think about the deeper issues within their church. They're too busy just doing good things to worry about doctrinal and theological issues, and most of them shouldn't have to. The burden of understanding and teaching these things are on the ministers. As far as the ministers go, many of them are just incapable of understanding these important concepts. This isn't a problem if they use a system that tells them what to believe, as they could fill in the gaps of their own knowledge. But Protestant Christianity does not use that kind of system. At this point, you might be thinking of all the evil things that Catholic Christians do. We all hear about the sexual molestation of young children perpetrated by Catholic priests. I'm not avoiding the question, but I wanted to leave that issue until this point and simultaneously cover that issue for both Catholic and Protestant Christians. Christians do bad things. Some of them do terrible things. But that can be said about all people. When we write off any group because of the actions of a few individuals, we're not only making an incredibly harsh judgment, we're preventing our own intellectual growth. Yes, Christianity teaches that sodomy is a sin, just as it teaches that fornication, murder, theft, lust, and envy, among a multitude of other things, are sins. But Christianity doesn't hate people who commit these sins. It wants to help them. We've all run into horrible, hateful people who claim to be Christians, but to them, Christianity is a guise that they use to manipulate and hurt others. It is not true Christianity. So what does any of this even mean? It means that you might want to take another look at Christianity. If you're not a Christian, take a serious look at Catholicism. Many of the original Christian principles are still intact, so you can use it as a resource for questions you might have. Some of the things you think you might know about Christianity could be wrong, and even if it doesn't change your perspective, it will help you debate Christians, since you'll have a better understanding of the foundation of the religion. If you're a Protestant Christian, don't walk away offended. Look into what I've just said, ask questions, and gain a better understanding of your faith. If after doing some real research you think I'm out to lunch, that's fine. I'll be alright.